When I dropped out of college, my uncle told everyone I was a failure. He'll end up flipping burgers, if he's lucky. At my cousin's graduation, he raised a toast and said, "Some people are meant to succeed, others just quit." I didn't argue. I just built. Last month, he applied for a job at my company. Today, I interviewed him. I dropped out of college when I was 20, walked out of that campus with a half-empty backpack, a full mind, and a family-sized portion of shame ready to get served at the next holiday dinner. I didn't fail out. I left. Big difference. But no one in my family cared about that part, especially not my uncle. He made it a thing, told everyone I'd end up flipping burgers. If he's lucky, said it loud enough at Thanksgiving that even the baby stopped babbling, said it again at Easter. By the time my cousin's graduation rolled around, he didn't even need my name anymore. Just looked over his glass and said, "Some people are meant to succeed, others just quit." People laughed, not because it was funny, because laughing was easier than defending me. I didn't argue, I didn't try to explain, I just sat there, nodding like a good little dropout. But inside, I was already building. See, while they were polishing diplomas and waiting on job offers that never came, I was selling code. Freelance work, then contracts, then building tools people actually paid for. I didn't have a campus, but I had a laptop, and that was enough. It was slow, it was lonely, it was terrifying, but it was mine. And last year, I finally did it. Launched my own company, bootstrapped, lean team, scalable product. We grew faster than we could breathe. And then last month, his name showed up on a resume sent to my company. My uncle, the man who told everyone I'd end up wearing a paper hat and asking if they wanted fries with that, he needed a job. I stared at the email for a long time. Not sure if I was hallucinating. I mean, I always imagined this moment, sure, but I didn't think it would hit like this. It didn't feel triumphant. It felt weird. A part of me wanted to delete it, just ghost him. Another part wanted to show up to the interview with a tray and say, "Want fries with that?" But I didn't. I scheduled it. And today, at 10:04 a.m., he walked into my office. He didn't recognize me at first. I kept my name off the hiring portal. My assistant was in on it, said, "The founder will be interviewing you today." He sat down, nervous, fidgeting with his folder, wearing a cheap suit that didn't fit like he thought it did. Then I looked up from my laptop, and he froze. Mouth parted, blinked like he'd just seen a ghost crawl out of the server room. "Wait," I nodded. "Yeah, it's me." He started to speak, probably an apology. Probably some corporate spin on times are tough. I held up my hand. "Before you say anything, I just want you to know, I don't hold grudges." He blinked. Probably didn't believe me. I didn't care. "But I do remember things," I added. "And I remember everything you said. Every joke. Every he quit. Every time you made sure people knew I'd failed." Silence. Then I smiled. The same smile I gave him at that graduation dinner. The one he mistook for weakness. "Thing is," I said, leaning back, "I didn't quit. I just started something you couldn't see." He didn't say much after that, just nodded, said thanks for my time. He won't be getting the job, not because I'm petty, because he's not qualified, and because I don't hire people who only show up when you've already made it. He said I'd flip burgers. That was the joke. Said it at my cousin's birthday party right in front of my parents, like it was just good fun. Maybe he can land a job at McDonald's if he's lucky. And everyone laughed, except me. I didn't laugh, I just nodded, took another bite of cake, let them talk, because I already knew there's no point arguing with people who've already decided who you are. I dropped out of college because I was drowning, not academically, mentally, spiritually, whatever you want to call that deep, hollow ache that hits when you realize you're spending thousands just to walk in circles. But to him, that wasn't a decision, that was a defect. Some people finish things, some just quit, he said years later at my cousin's graduation. Didn't even say my name, just looked at me, glass raised, and smiled like it was clever. That was the moment I stopped hoping he'd understand, stopped needing him to. I didn't try to prove him wrong. I didn't have time for that. I had things to build. While he chased status and talked about real jobs, I was chasing clients. Late nights, failed pitches, broken code, but progress. Quiet, unglamorous progress. The kind that doesn't fit in group chats or family dinners. By the time I turned 26, I wasn't explaining myself anymore. I had an office, a team, a product with traction, and then last month, boom, his name on a resume sent to my company. I stared at it for hours, no cover letter, no recognition, just a man who needed a job. I laughed. For the first time, I really laughed. Not out of spite, out of irony, because I didn't build this to throw it in his face. I built it because I had to, because waiting for someone like him to give me permission to feel valid would have killed me. But that interview, I had to take it. So I did. He walked into the conference room, dressed like it was still 2009. Cheap blazer, stiff smile. He didn't recognize me right away. Called me Mr. Ramirez, like he was reading a name off a spreadsheet, and I let him sit down, let him pitch. Watched him stumble through buzzwords and jargon he didn't understand. Then I asked, "Do you remember what you said when I dropped out?" He looked confused at first. Then it hit. The color left his face like someone unplugged him. Look, I was just joking back then. I didn't mean... I held up a hand. I'm not mad. Honestly, you were background noise. He blinked. Didn't know what to do with that, because people like him need to be the villain in someone else's success story, but he wasn't. He was just wrong. I didn't succeed to prove you wrong, I said. I succeeded because you weren't right. I didn't say it with venom, just truth. That's the part that hit him hardest, I think, that he didn't matter as much as he thought he did. He nodded, said thanks for my time, walked out without looking back. I won't hire him, not because I'm bitter, because this company was built on vision, on heart, on resilience, and he's never had to fight for anything, just mock the ones who did. That was the last time I thought about his opinion, because when you're really free, you stop needing your story to be revenge. I never needed strangers to doubt me. I had family for that. When I dropped out of college, they didn't ask why, didn't check in, didn't wonder how I was doing. They just assumed I'd failed. And my uncle, God, he loved it. He turned my dropout into a family punchline. He'll be flipping burgers before New Year's, he said one night at dinner, waving his fork like he was doing stand-up. They laughed. My mom tried to laugh too. The tight, don't make a scene kind of laugh. I didn't say a word, just cleaned my plate and left early. That was the beginning of me learning that the deepest cuts don't always come from enemies. They come from people who share your blood, who know exactly where your insecurities live, and go knocking just to watch you squirm. I didn't fight him, didn't defend myself, because I already knew if I started defending, I'd never stop. So I disappeared for a while, not physically, just emotionally. Stopped trying to explain what I was building, stopped trying to make them proud. I wasn't in the mood to hand out progress reports to people who only wanted to see failure. I struggled. Oh, I struggled. There were nights I had $34 in my account and no clue how I'd make rent. Days when I stared at blank screens praying for ideas, but I kept building, slowly, quietly, relentlessly. I didn't need validation, I needed a shot. And eventually I got one, then another, then leverage. I launched a product, it landed, grew fast. I hired a team, I got investors, I got offers, I said no, I scaled. And then last month in a folder of job applications, I saw his name. My uncle, the same one who mocked me, bragged about how real men finish what they start. Said I was a quitter in front of the whole family. He applied to my company. He didn't know I owned it, of course. My name isn't front and center. I let the product speak for me. That was always the plan. But when I saw his resume, I froze. Not out of shock, out of what now? Because what do you do when someone who once used your pain for entertainment now needs your help? I scheduled the interview. He walked in looking nervous. I sat at the head of the table. He didn't recognize me right away, not until I said his name, not until I smiled. He blinked. You? I nodded. Funny world, huh? He stammered something, tried to explain away the past. Just jokes, just trying to push you to be better. I didn't interrupt, just listened. Then I said, family can cut deep. You proved that. Silence. But family also has to knock eventually, and now here you are. I could have humiliated him, could have rejected him on the spot, but I didn't, because I wasn't interested in revenge. I was interested in peace. You won't be a good fit here, I said. But I wish you well. He nodded, quiet, shook my hand on the way out, and that was it. Not a victory, not a takedown, just a door I got to close on my terms. They laughed when I left, not to my face. No one's ever that brave, but I heard it. Behind my back, in group text I wasn't in anymore, in the way their voices dropped when I walked into a room. They laughed like it was over, like I had forfeited my shot at being somebody. My uncle led the chorus. Dropped out, huh? Guess he couldn't hack it. Some people aren't built for pressure. He'll be lucky if he ends up working the fryer. He said that last part with a grin, the kind that sticks, the kind that makes you want to scream even when you're silent. But I didn't scream, didn't explain, didn't list all the reasons I left, how I was broke, anxious, burning out in a system that didn't care if I collapsed. I just walked out, quiet, and started building. First came freelance jobs, small, unpaid, messy, then a few decent ones, then one big client, then one that changed everything. Suddenly I wasn't a dropout, I was a founder. No investors, no spotlight, just grit. I reinvested every dime, worked while everyone slept, taught myself what I couldn't afford to hire. And slowly, it grew. From side hustle to full time. From bedroom office to team of 10. Now I own the thing, and they're not laughing anymore. Last week his name landed on my desk. My uncle, looking for work, looking for opportunity. And me? I was the one with the power to say yes or no. I didn't recognize the name at first. The resume was bland, stretched, the kind of thing people write when they're trying to sound bigger than they are. Then I saw the name, and I laughed. Not mean, not loud, just knowing. I booked the interview. He walked in and it hit him fast. The decor, the logo on the wall, me. He stammered my name like a question. Didn't know you were here. I smiled. I'm not just here. I own it. He blinked, tried to recover. Said something about being proud. About how you always had potential. I nodded. Funny, I don't remember that version of the story. He looked uncomfortable. Good. But I didn't roast him. Didn't drag up every insult. Didn't quote his friar joke back at him, though I could have. God, I wanted to. Instead, I said this. You laughed when I left school, but I didn't leave school. I left your story. I stopped letting people like you decide how far I could go. Silence. Just the hum of the office around us. I'm not hiring you, I said. Not out of spite, but because this company is built on vision, on respect, on belief, and you've never believed in anything but your own voice. He nodded. No comeback this time. I stood up. Walked him to the door. He didn't look back, and me? I didn't feel triumphant. I felt free, because the best revenge isn't power, it's peace.